Hey everybody, happy Monday and welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw looking at the biggest headlines, and we're looking back at Sunday night. Obviously a big one. The Portland Timbers with a 1-0 win over the Seattle Sounders up at Geldwen Field. This game seemed to have it all. A lot of drama, a lot of rivalry, and a game that hinged on two different plays. Khalif Al-Hassan with a goal late in the first half for Portland, staked them to that 1-0 lead, and then the play everyone's talking about on this Monday. A red card for Ozzie Alonso midway through the second half that put the Sounders down a man. Yep. What happened on this play?
Well, first of all, look, this game had so much riding on it, right? The Sounders still trying to push to get in the playoffs. They're coming off of those two losses, so they were amped up to get something, but they were missing some players, obviously. Obafemi Martin's out, Eddie Johnson out, Brad Evans off with the national team. So they were looking to Clint Dempsey. I think what happened in this play when it comes down to Alonso throwing an elbow into Will Johnson's face, and he connects, and it's a deserved red card for Osvaldo Alonso in this one. There's no question in my mind about that. However, I think this is about a frustration that the Sounders had throughout the course of the game, particularly in the treatment that Clint Dempsey got starting early in the game when he picked up that injury to his shoulder on a tackle from Diego Chara. Darlington Nagbe also took some hits from the Sounders side, so to be fair, it was coming on both sides. But I think that frustration boiled over when Alonso threw the elbow into Will Johnson's face. Was Will Johnson instigating a little bit by sort of bumping into him?
Yeah.
Sure, but Alonso cannot, in that situation, then lose his cool and throw that elbow.
So we're going to see if there's any further discipline from the MLS disciplinary committee. They might come down on mass confrontation. I think that's what everybody was excited about last night, was Sounders players going after the ref.
Yeah, and right after it all happened, I mean, the Sounders are going after the assistant referee, who was the one who ultimately made the call, I think, saying that the elbow was thrown. So they were going after him. I think there's mass confrontation. I think there was also a little bit of pushing and shoving afterward. This was what the Cascadia Cup is really all about. And by the way, congratulations to the Vancouver Whitecaps on winning the Cascadia Cup because of this result.
The team that didn't even play last night, the Vancouver Whitecaps, get their first Cascadia Cup title since all three teams joined MLS. So big congrats to them. And in the standings in MLS, the Portland Timbers move atop the Western Conference. They're tied with the New York Red Bulls in the search for the Supporters Shield. The Red Bulls have the inside track right now because of more wins, but it's going to go right down to the wire now for Caleb Porter and the Portland Timbers. Well, switching to the Eastern Conference, we've talked a lot lately, Greg, about all the teams on the outside looking in and trying to get those 4th and 5th spots in the playoffs. The Chicago Fire moved into the 5th spot over the weekend with a win on the road in Dallas, which eliminated Dallas. New England also gets a nice win on the road at the Montreal Impact, and Philly settles for a draw against DC. So there's absolutely no room between these three teams. Who's going to prevail?
Look, it's really tough right now with the three teams, and I'll make it 4 when we throw Montreal in there. I'm not convinced that Montreal is going to be able to pull this one through either. I think ultimately of these three games, the win for New England was huge. However, it comes with a caveat. Sayar Sen with an injury that looks like it's going to keep him out of the rest of the season, broken fibula, and a torn ankle issue. So, look, that's a big blow for them. He has been a huge part of their resurgence in the second half of the year. So I think that's huge for them. On the other side, a positive for Philly. Jack McInerney ends his drought with a goal, a late goal, a header for Philly to get that draw at DC. That 1 point could end up being huge, and that goal might be more important than the 10 he scored at the beginning of the season. So that's big for Philly.
Make sure you log on MLSsoccer.com/standings. You're not going to see much room in between those teams out east, 4 and 7, all the way down to the 7th place. Everybody still alive in the playoff picture. Well, one game left in the hexagonal for the U.S. national team after a 2-0 win on Friday night over Jamaica. Greg, a perfect home campaign for Jurgen Klinsmann and his guys. Graham Zusi and Josie Altidore get the goal, so a 2-0 win there. Now they're going on to Panama. They play in Panama City on Tuesday night. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern on beIN Sport. They're going to play this game, as expected, I think, without a number of starters. Key guys, Landon Donovan, Jermaine Jones, Matt Beasler, and Tim Howard. What do we make of the changes? Will it have an effect on Tuesday night?
I mean, it could have an effect in that they're not going to have their strongest team out there. I still think that they're going to go after it. They're very confident, and I think that you have players now who really understand their roles. You can bring other players in, and they understand their roles for the U.S. national team. On the other side, though, this is huge for Panama. If they're going to have any chance of getting into 4th place and into that playoff, they need 3 points. So they're going to be coming after this U.S. team, which could present an opportunity for the U.S. to sit back, absorb some pressure, and then boom, you go on the counterattack.
The storyline between Panama and Mexico is actually far more interesting than the U.S. national team is part of, considering Mexico got that big win over Panama on Friday night, 2-1. So now Panama at home against the U.S. and Mexico on the road in Costa Rica.
And that's going to be huge. I think, first of all, go back to that Friday game for Mexico with that victory 2-1 at home, 85th minute and a bicycle kick goal. Are you kidding me? This was unbelievable that they got this victory. Now they go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Can they get 3 points there? They don't necessarily need the 3 points in order to stay in fourth place. If they get 3 points, and depending on another result for Honduras and Jamaica, could they step up into third place?
Yeah.
I don't expect that to happen. But we're going to be watching that Mexico game as much as we're going to be watching the U.S. game.
Really, the storyline. Who's the last team to get in
It's going to be
from
incredible.
CONCACAF? Make sure you log on, MLSsoccer.com. Our very own Andrew Wiebe is down in Panama. He's got complete coverage of the U.S. national team as they inch closer to that game on Tuesday night. That does it for us. We'll be back with another edition of The Daily tomorrow.